Welcome to the I Love Coaching podcast, where we believe coaching solves everything.
Welcome back, everybody, to the I Love Coaching podcast. I am your host, Adam Roach, today. And today I have someone that is extremely important to me and someone that I've known for a while, Miss Shannon Dager. And she's going to join us today as we start talking about coaching. We start talking about being coaches and having been coached. And Shannon's going to tell us, we're going to have a conversation all about that. So Shannon, welcome to the show. And who's Shannon?
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here and to chat with you a little bit. So a little bit about me is I coach obviously with I Love Coaching, and I'm thrilled to do that. Love it. And I found my passion there working with other people. I've been an agent for a number of years in a number of different states. So I hold my license in several different states. And I have been a previous team leader with a large brokerage as well, and found my passion there in coaching. Prior to that, I owned a business and sold that business as well. So I love growing businesses. I love talking to people about diving into things that maybe we can do more efficiently and effectively, and how to build a team. Yeah. And I found my niche there. So I love working through the coaching and seeing people grow and helping them identify and solve problems.
Yeah, absolutely. Quite the entrepreneur. And I love that. So you have been in many different facets of business. Mm-hmm. If there was a facet, you would say a facet of business that you would say that you really have a passion for, which area of business is that? Or is there a more macro space that you really have a passion for?
I love team dynamics. I really love seeing how people work together and helping them to see maybe communication. So I have, in my past life, I went on and got my senior professional and human resource designation, and specifically in teamwork. And so I love to help build teams. I think that's where my passion for recruiting came from. I love talking to people and finding their space and the things that kind of set their heart on fire. And with that, I think a lot of us just get in the grind of our daily routines, and we don't necessarily see how our dynamic plays off of other people. And so helping teams work through those kind of conversations and leaders kind of free themselves from some of that and allow other people to take on some of their responsibilities, and so they can find their own passions again. That's, I mean, it's probably my favorite thing, seeing them discover that.
Well, let's stay in that space for a second, because I just heard your passion there. That was really cool. What are some of the mistakes you think that people make, or maybe you've experienced in coaching and or leadership, where people think, or agents, entrepreneurs, whoever it may be, think, gosh, I'm going to go build a team? What do you think are the first 1, 2, or 3 mistakes that they make?
I think a little bit of like defining your why, and people quite frequently pick the easy, obvious thing. My kids, my why.
Always.
Yeah. And I think, so you have to really, really, really have the motivation to grow and be growth minded if you're going to add people to your team, as opposed to being just overwhelmed. And so I think a lot of people get to the point where they say, oh my gosh, I have so much on my plate, I'm going to hire somebody and I'm going to build a team to take stuff off my plate. But they forget that they have to actually support that. And there's that growth mindset. So when bringing somebody onto your team, you may be actually adding, some additional responsibilities towards growth. And there may be a way of not necessarily building your team, but getting the leverage to take some things off your plate that might be smarter. So looking at that and understanding, like, am I motivated? Is my why a growth minded why? And if it is, then that's it. And also hiring the right people is an understanding the real person and their personal dynamics when you hire them, and not just taking the job description and saying, can you do this? It's more like, do you want to do this? Is it your passion for doing this? Does this fulfill you? And because those people, if they want to do it and they're motivated to do it, and it's like their niche and they get excited by it, then they'll grow into the position, and you can train them into the position versus, trying to fit somebody in.
Yeah, for sure. I want to go back to this because this is powerful. Defining not only their why, but understanding inside of that why, if they're growth minded or just overwhelmed. Because you and I both have experienced many clients and many agents and many entrepreneurs that say, I'm going to hire because I'm exhausted. I need so much help here. What would you say to someone listening right now to help them understand, how can they look themselves in the mirror and say, gosh, I'm growth minded and not just overwhelmed? How does someone distinguish between the two?
I mean, I think it takes a conversation with a coach a lot of times, to be honest. Sometimes you need outside perspective, and we all need that. I mean, I need it myself too. Somebody to kind of point out the things when the squirrels come in the room and it just overwhelms you. You need an outside perspective to kind of recognize that. I think one of the nice things about coaches is that a lot of us have walked in the same steps or similar steps. And so we can see that, whereas a spouse or somebody outside maybe can't see the same things because they're not doing the same job. And then the coaches can walk you through the steps by asking questions. And so for me, you know, I write down kind of everything. I take notes on my phone, and I'm writing down, like, these are the things that are overwhelming me in the moment. And I have to say, are they momentary, or are these things that can repeatedly every day are keeping me from focusing on my 20%? And if that's the case, then that's where I really need leverage. And if it's something that's just momentary, then it's a different story, and we can look at other solutions. So organization, walking through questions, conversations, getting an outside perspective, I think they're all really important elements.
Write that down, everybody who's listening. Is it momentary, or is it keeping you from your 20%? That right there, ladies and gentlemen, is some good coaching. That's awesome, Shannon. Thank you. Okay, let's keep going here. So when you go to find a team member, we're going to stay in this vertical right here of team dynamics.
Yep.
How do you coach someone to go find talent, right? Because we're always taught, hey, you got to find talent, you got to find talent, you got to find talent. What would you say to a coaching client that when you say, go find talent, how do you coach them in that space?
Well, I start with it, maybe a lot of conversations. So that's the part that I think that people miss a lot, is that they want to hire talent. And so they think, okay, I'm going to go out there and hire talent. They've hired 4 or 5 people, and then they're just done. They're just exhausted, because, mind you, these individuals were already taxed out to begin with, which is why they're trying to find the talent. And now they have to have 5 to 10 more conversations to find the talent, and they don't have the time for that. And so patience, like it does take a lot of conversations to find a unicorn. Like, it is not easy, but the payoff is forever, and it's long-term. And so starting off with a good job description, obviously you're going to write down key tasks and all of those sort of things. And really looking at your job and their job and how those two kind of mix together for your first hires to fill in the blanks. So if you take a standard job description, 90% of the time is not the job description you need. It's the building blocks for what you need to kind of offset you, and you have to adjust that as well. Then going out, and I think actively recruiting talent is required. And that does not mean, and I think it's part of putting an ad in Indeed, putting an ad on LinkedIn. I think those are all good basic steps. But think about the person, if you can envision this person and what their background is. And is it another entrepreneur? Is it another, person who's worked in another team or another small business? And start reaching out to them and connecting with them at a conference. We all think, let's go out and network for referrals. Let's go out and network for talent. Let's go out and say, who do you know that is looking for a position? Let's go out and have conversations. Start picking up the phone and calling and emailing their LinkedIn profiles. And that's really where I would see it coming from. And then you find their passion.
That is gold right there. I want to share you a story. One of my former coaches told me this is, number one, you have to define the bear's attributes, right? So we're all hunting for this bear. We have to define what this bear is going to look for or look like. Secondly, we have to know where to hunt for that bear, right? So I'll give you, this was a no joke story. This actually happened. I had a CFO that was running one of our offices, and they needed an assistant CFO or an assistant to the role. And I said, define your bear, and then you tell me where this bear is going to live. And so they went and defined the bear, and they said, I have no idea where this person lives. I said, I know exactly where this person lives. I said, go get in my car, and we're going to go to where this bear lives. So we drove to the mall, and based on the attributes that he had listed, I said, they're going to be a makeup counter person, because here's what I thought. They're going to be able to keep the focus of one person in front of them. And then the husband over here is going to be like messing with and fidgeting with stuff and trying to have a conversation so they can engage with this person over here. And then the person in front of them, they're going to sell them something. I thought, that's where we're going to go. And so my CFO said, I'm not going into the makeup counter. I said, yes, you are. Follow me. And so I kid you not, Shannon, I went through the makeup counter and I sat in makeup seats to see which person would
surprise me.
Right. which person would engage with me? And I kid you not, we got 3 phone numbers and hired one of them.
I believe that. I
True story.
100% believe that. You have to think about that personality type and where they are. I mean, you're not
Yes.
gonna you're not gonna find a grizzly bear in the North Georgia mountains. Like you're not, where are you hunting for? What are you hunting for? And
Yes.
that's where you have to go get it. And I just think you have to be really proactive about that. I think that's great. And it
True
does not
story.
surprise me that you did that at all.
I did not let them put makeup on me, even though
If
they
you have
tried.
good talent, you can
Hey.
teach them what they need to know,
totally
and
teach them.
90% of the time, I mean, you can
Mhm.
teach them what they need to know. And so if they have those basic fundamentals of what you're looking for, but not everybody needs to be a hunter either, and so that's the key, is that sometimes, you want people in your office that are administrators that don't want to hunt, that they're
Right.
totally 100% satisfied with
Mhm.
being behind the scenes. And so you have to think about where you're going to find those people as well.
Now, let's take this one step further here, and then we'll end this team dynamic conversation. Now they've hired the bear, right? They've got this individual on the team. They're like, "Whew, I'm no longer overwhelmed. I'm growth minded. I'm going to take this person and make them the best in that role." And then a day goes by, and maybe 2 days goes by, and then a week goes by, and then a month goes by, and they really haven't engaged with that person. We know how that goes, right?
Because they were already overwhelmed. Remember, they were already overwhelmed beforehand. So they're not.
Right.
Yeah.
So what do you
So
say?
they're going to be the ideal trainer.
That's right. Yes, you nailed it. What would you say to someone listening that says, gosh, this is great information. What do I do after I hire talent?
Hire somebody to train your talent. I would 100% hire somebody to coach and train your talent. I think if you are the person who is overwhelmed or looking for, and maybe it's not you who's overwhelmed, maybe it's one of your team members that's trying to hire help. You're trying to hire help for, because there's different growth levels, right? So not everybody's trying to hire their first hire. Maybe you're trying to hire your 5th hire, your 6th hire. You're still hiring that person to offset a need somewhere in your team. And if you have that person who needs the help doing the training, what are you training them on? If I'm an individual agent who's running around chicken with my head cut off and I need help, and so I'm going to bring you in and you're going to shadow me, what am I going to teach you? I'm going to teach you how to run around like a chicken with your head cut off. I don't want that. I want somebody who's going to elevate me, who's going to bring me up and who's going to improve my systems, who's going to get things right from the start. And so hire somebody who can teach them that and have them work with that person in that program.
It's so neat that you say that inside of I Love Coaching. By the way, this is just going to turn into a big I Love Coaching commercial, and you guys are going to deal with it.
We didn't discuss this beforehand either, so.
I know. Is we brought on a coach for the director of operations role, knowing that that's such a key hire in an entrepreneur's world, that we brought on a coach. So anyone that hires a director of operations, or an EA, or executive assistant, or an assistant to the executive, bring them into the fold, because you are not the one to coach or train them.
And just like an operations person is not the one to coach a buyer's agent and how to go out and get business, or, a listing agent and how to go out and solicit leads. It goes both ways, right? But as the type A person I am and the high D person I am, I know that I can't sit down and teach all of those nitty gritty details to somebody who wants to do checklists and wants to do all of that kind of stuff. And yet it's very, very necessary for my business to run fluidly. And so you need to hire somebody who can teach them that and teach them something more. And that kind of elevates your business up.
Right. And I want to help the listener too. The listener that is listening to this saying, I can do it. I believe you. I do believe you. Do we believe that you have the bandwidth for it? No, you do not have the bandwidth for it. So let us help you real quick. Remove your ego, right? Remove your ego, because your ego will be better served by you leveraging that training out. And you can continue to do what your vertical or your space that you are best in, or your unique ability in, right?
Well, I can do it doesn't mean I should do it.
That's right.
And so what is your goal? Is your goal to be all things to all people? Because you can do that. How does that make you feel at the end of the day? And how does that represent in your family life and in your home life? And how does that represent in the growth of your business? Like at some point, if you are all things to all people, it slows down the thing that you are good at doing. And you are good at generating business. And by generating business, you can provide opportunity and jobs for other people and still be present at the end of the day and not taxed out and not worn out. And so, that's the key. We can do all things. Many of us can do that. I can't do all things, but many people can. And at the same time, I work to be present for my family, to provide for them and to enjoy them. And I want to be there for them at the end of the day. And if you're trying to be all things to all people, one, you're not going to grow.
Yep.
And two, you're not going to be whole at the end of the day.
Well, and let's go back to your original statement. Are you growth minded or are you overwhelmed?
Exactly.
You will continue to overwhelm yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes.
And that overwhelming limits your growth.
That's correct.
It just does. It just does. And so
Definitely.
your 20% should be growth focused.
Yep.
Agents should be 20% growth focused at all times.
Mhm.
And so is what I'm doing now helping me to grow my business?
Right. Absolutely. So I guys want you to pause where you are right now and go push the backwards 15 seconds. Go push it 2 times. I want you to hear what she said. I can do it versus I should do it, right? You define what you should be doing. And here's the thing, if it's not in your 20%, if it's not the one that is lifting that the business going forward, stop, right? Stop it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Whoa, this has been fun. This was quick and painless, right? This was fun.
It was fun. It was fun.
It was fun. So what should we tell people listeners wise right now? Let's just keep this in the I Love Coaching commercial space. I mean, if they want to get a coach, we might as well just tell them how to go do it. Before we do that, how can people find you? How can our listeners find you? Coach Shannon, where can they find you?
You can find me on social media everywhere. You can find me, I have a website, but you can email me directly, Shannon at ilovecoachingyou.com. So you can reach out anytime. And I'd love to chat with anybody.
Perfect. Yeah, we'd love to have you come in and chat with Shannon for sure. So here's what we suggest here is take this. If you really enjoyed what you heard here, go give us a positive review. Give us a 5-star review on whatever you're listening to. And if you didn't like this, go listen to it again, because I guarantee you'll like it the second time. That's what I would suggest. Yeah. That's my coaching advice for right there.
If you didn't, don't leave a review.
Exactly. Well, thank you all for listening. And by the way, we have an event at I Love Coaching happening starting tomorrow. Actually, that will be this is going to be Wednesday, starting March 1st. So if this drops after March 1st, I'm sorry, you can still go get in. You might be just a day late. Go to neverchaseagain.com. We are hosting a live training course. Neverchaseagain.com is going to be in the finding talent space, as Shannon was just alluding to. So go check out that course, because it will be powerful for 5 weeks. It's going to be for 5 weeks starting.
It's going to be a good course. That's going to be a really, really good course. Yeah.
Yep, for sure. Okay. Thank you all for listening. Again, my name is Adam Roach, and we have been with Shannon Dager, and she is an amazing coach. We'll see you guys on the other side. See you. Bye.
Thanks.